So hi everyone, I'm Jerry James. I've recently joined the art school at Old Church as the new executive director. And on behalf of the board of directors, the faculty and the staff, I want to welcome everyone to our 46th Annual Pottery Show and Sale. This year is unique, of course, because we moved the show online. And we've planned an amazing weekend, teaming with incredible works by and events and workshops with 31 extraordinary potters. Many thanks to our curators, Bruce Dainhert, Chris Guston, and Aisha Peltz, and of course to Karen Carnes and Michael Zakin for making this show what it is today. Now I'd like to turn it over to Lisa Beth Matoso, former executive director of the art school, now turned organizational consultant, and many, many thanks to Lisa and the Annual Pottery Show team for putting this inspiring show together.
Thank you so much, Jerry. It's so great to be here with you all tonight. Like I was saying earlier, I'm sorry that we can't all be in the same room to share this moment and the entire weekend. I've been feeling a little sad moving into this week, that kind of coming to the show, but also knowing that we wouldn't be able to have that personal connection of being together. But I'm so glad to see you all and be with you together in spirit. When I first came on board at the art school in 2017, it was about 4 months before the pottery show, and I really didn't know what to expect. I knew that it was going to be a huge undertaking, but obviously when you're walking into the whole situation of emptying out the school and bringing in all of these amazing artists and work, it's not something you can really prepare yourself for. You have to just get there and move through it. But what I was overwhelmed by, and I remember saying it at our dinner on Saturday night of that first weekend, was I was so overwhelmed by the warm welcome I received, how much heart, and there was so much just love and friendship, and everybody was so kind and generous and welcoming. So it immediately felt like family. And every year it feels like coming back together with people that you know and love. And it's like those old good friends that you cannot see for months at a time. But then when you see each other again, it's like picking up where you left off. So this is my fourth show, and it's the highlight of my year. So even though, as Jerry said, I recently left my position as executive director, I knew that this was something that I still wanted to continue with and bring to fruition. And as he said, this is different than any other show because we are online. It's also different because of where we are in the world right now. Earlier in the year, COVID hit the art school, in terms of our work. We had to cancel our spring semester, and that was a loss of about $150,000. And considering that this show was started by Karen 46 years ago as a means of fundraising and support for the art school, it was really no surprise that the people who came to our aid when we needed it most were our Pottery Show potters. Whether it was leading online workshops for us or offering pieces of their work for our online auction, everybody was there if we asked them to help in some way, and that was really no surprise. So we are so grateful for you all still being part of this show, even though we've had to make this transition, and thank you for helping to keep the art school alive. Last year in my program letter, I talked a little bit about living with people's work, which was a phrase that I learned from listening to Aisha at our curator meeting. And behind me are some of the pieces that I live with of potters that have been at our show for the past 3 years. And when I look at each of them, it really feels like I'm looking at a person. Everything is alive with your spirit and your personality. And so I just want to thank you so much again for our 31 participating potters for being here with us and for us in so many ways. Thank you to the board of directors for your support and all of our staff for your help and support. And most of all to the curators, Bruce, Chris, and Aisha. You guys are amazing and such wonderful supporters, and you've given me such guidance over the years. So thank you. And I will now turn it over to Bruce Dainhert.
Oh, thank you, Lisa. On behalf of the board of directors, thank you so very much for shepherding us through the last 4 years and of the show. And each year, this show just gets better and better and better. And we can't express enough thanks to you for doing that. It has been a history of the show that that Michael and Karen, who are the founders of the show, would write a curator's letter that accompanied the program. And so for tonight, because that is not getting printed as it normally would, I'm going to read to everybody the curator's letter that comes from Chris and Aisha and I. And before I do that, I want to express my deep thanks to both Chris and Aisha for their help on this. And it's just it's a highlight of my year, and that we select the show and so forth. So I thank you very much. And welcome aboard, Jerry. And so when we met in Connecticut in early March, we set out to select the best studio potters we could find for this year's show. Over the course of that blustery weekend, little did we know that trouble was brewing, not only far away, but much closer to home than we could have ever imagined. There already were ominous signs being reported from Italy, and those disturbing scenes ran counter to those before us on a monitor in the hotel. There we were, viewing and discussing what shape we might give this show. Because we're passionate about the role the Annual Pottery Show plays in not only supporting the art school at Old Church, each year's artists, and the ceramics field in general, we are excited about innumerable potentials. It was exciting to be together again, looking at so many great pots. So excited, in fact, that we failed to see the coming storm. When the pandemic hit hard just 2 weeks later, it did so with a fury unlike anything our country's seen in nearly a century. Its impact has left no stone unturned in any part of the world, and among its most devastated rooms in the house have been the arts. Every artist, every arts institution, every business having to do with the arts has been irreconcilably harmed. Artists, their families and friends have lost loved ones, or have themselves been taken away by this relentless virus. Our beautiful community has been forever changed. As you listen to this, as curators, we hope you understand how important a member of our arts community that you are. Whether an artist or passionate in your appreciation of the arts, you're playing a profoundly important role. Our community of artists needs every hand on deck during these difficult times, and your presence will be felt long after this year's online pottery show has ended. During this year's planning, we have often thought about the show's founders, Michael and Karen. We have a pretty good idea how they might be feeling right now. Because both were path breakers, they would have stared down the pandemic and made every effort to innovate ways of producing the show. The art school has followed their lead. We couldn't be more proud of the entire staff and directors, this year we have two, Lisa and Jerry, for their phenomenal efforts guiding us to an online platform, ensuring that this show must go on. And we thank with admiration all of this show's artists who are joining us from studios located in practically every region of the United States. We wish everyone and their families a healthy and prosperous year to come. Thank you very much. And I'm really proud and honored to turn this over to Chris.
Thank you, Bruce. This is an interesting time we're living in. And this show, over the years, has been a conduit to people who make and people who just love things that people make. It's very simple. It's a very simple relationship. And yet it's an incredibly powerful one. Usually we get together as a group during these shows and we have these dinners and we sit in bars and we talk and we connect and we hear each other's stories of our year. And we can't do that this year. But that connection is really powerful. And when Bruce and Aisha and I sit in that room with Lisa to go through the possibilities of who might be in this year's show, the conversations are just wonderful. And Bruce alluded to this. It's just an incredibly special time for the three of us to try to put together an exhibition and a show that speaks to what is going on in the country in terms of ceramics but also to how we might guide the people who buy work, the people who support us, toward another way of looking at things. So over the years, we're in our 46th year, and over the years, we've gone from, the soup to nuts in terms of the type of work we've shown, and in doing so, we try to keep it alive and to try to keep the new voices, to present them to the community that that supports us. And I think that's part of what Karen's goal was and Michael's goal, and it's certainly what our goal is. And I say this every year, and I'm just always kind of astounded by it. But it's like the amount of talent, in this group, it's just phenomenal. The ideas that are being presented, the hard work that people do to make those ideas real, the clarity of thought, the skill and craftsmanship of touch. These are things that many of us take for granted, but when you see the collective, you're just kind of awed by it. And so I speak to the people who are supporting this show, who are coming online and going through all of our names and clicking and trying to find the one thing or the two or three or four things that they can't live without. This is an important thing. We are a community, and Bruce spoke to that. We're a community of artists, but we're also a community of collectors and people who just love what we do. And our role is to be one part of that contract, if you will. And so I hope everybody tonight and over the next couple of days reaches out and clicks those buttons and helps make this an incredible success, because the art school is worth it. The artists in the show, supporting them, is worth it. And it's also, it's like, you're buying things for your table, for your own community to share amongst your friends and family, and that's worth it. So I want to thank the art school. I want for everything they did to make this possible. This was a tremendous amount of work to put this online. I welcome Jerry to the team. It's been wonderful working with Lisa over these last few years, and I'm sure we'll be working with her again. And to Aisha and Bruce, you guys are absolutely amazing, and the conversations just live with me all year long. And then lastly, I just want to thank all of the artists who are part of this. You've all made, it's been a year of struggle, and for you to agree to be part of this in this time of need for everybody and difficulty, it's really wonderful. And I embrace you all, we embrace you all, and we wish you the best for 2021. And we can get out of this pandemic and live our lives again. So thank you. And now I'm going to turn it over to Aisha.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Chris and Bruce. What wonderful words, and I'll try not to repeat too many of them, but I'm joining you tonight with my family from our home in Vermont. We've just come out of a crazy, surreal family quarantine, and our masks are off, and we're ready to toast this wonderful event. I'm here with our two daughters, Ellis and Maeve, my husband, Todd, who has been a past participant in the show. We're sitting in front of a selection of the pots that we live with and use regularly. These have been collected over 20 plus years of participating in the show, visiting the show as younger students. And they have connected us over these past 9 months to friends and artists. They've inspired our meals, they've evoked memories, and they've really fortified us through these long months. So to select the artists for each year's show, Chris, Bruce, and I work with Lisa, and we look very closely at past artists. We look at the group of artists who have shown steadily throughout the years. And during that winnowing process, we're aware of the old church's fundraising needs,
and of honoring the really important history of Michael and Karen Carnes, Michael Zakin and Karen Carnes. We're also keenly aware of the visibility that this show has and the opportunity and the platform that comes with that visibility. Karen's mandate from the beginning was to select the best work. And that's certainly top line when we're gathering and talking about the work. We also want each year to feel different from the next. We're looking for a group to represent, for that group of artists to represent a wide range of makers that come to this same medium, but with different techniques, different viewpoints, different approaches. And it's a big task, but it's also incredibly exciting and fulfilling, as Bruce and Chris have both said, and I feel also. The conversation is incredibly inspiring, and I always leave that hotel room, and did in this past March, fortified by that conversation with Chris and Bruce, exhilarated by the state of contemporary pottery in our country, and excited about the lineup that we have. And I was really, really excited about this year's lineup, and so looking forward to seeing you all, to toasting you all, to being together, sharing those stories, and meeting some of you who I haven't met in the past. I've been thinking a lot this year about community. We're missing our communities. We're all part of different communities, but I'm particularly missing this pottery community. When Karen and Michael started this show 46 years ago, it was not just a fundraiser. Karen recognized that the artists that participate needed a gathering, a community. We often work alone in remote areas, and she really instilled or set the foundation in this show to provide that kind of connection, so that Old Church, for the weekend that artists were visiting, would provide delicious food, housing. They would sell the pots and process payments and pack the work, which would allow us, the potters in that space, to talk to each other, to talk to the other visiting pottery lovers. This allowed time for connections with other artists, and we share many, many things in that connecting time. I'm thinking back to the time that I was there in 2010 on a Sunday afternoon in the back room that can be either hot or cold depending on the time of year, or excuse me, the weather outside, and sort of lamenting to the potters that I'd been really unusually tired all weekend. And it was in that moment in that back room that I realized that I was pregnant with my daughter, Alice. So the arts connect us. Old Church connects us. Karen knew we needed those connections and built that into this show. And we can't do it this year, and it's just a drag. It's such a drag. But while we can't commune in those rooms at Old Church, the show has really provided another way to connect this year. By moving the sale online, we're now available for anyone to see who wants to log in, to click. And I've heard from so many people that they're so excited that they can attend the show this year because it's online. The sale is an opportunity to expand, and it's done it this year, to all of the people that have given workshops, to the moderated gallery talk that we'll do tomorrow for the first time. There's new opportunities to share what we're doing. So while the community has shifted, I think we're also expanding, and I'm excited about this. So I send a huge thanks to Lisa and Jerry, all the staff and volunteers at Old Church. Putting this show together online this year was not maybe the physical lift that it usually is, moving all of those shelves and bricks to make the space a gallery, but man, was it a lot of time on the computer, and I know it was huge. So thank you for those efforts. So our family's toasting tonight with cups that have been made by artists that have come through the show over the years. I'm using a Karen Carnes mug. Karen didn't make many mugs. I might have one of 5, I don't really know. She was more known for her casseroles, which we also use, but I'm using a Karen Carnes mug to toast. And we raise our glasses tonight to toast you, the artists, the Old Church community, the pottery lovers that are clicking and zooming in over the weekend to help support this important fundraiser and our community. And I really wish you all health, safety, a good show. And 1, 2, 3, let's open the show.
Cheers.
Cheers to you all.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you all. Enjoy the show.
Cheers.